Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fuel for Success. This is episode number 277. I'm glad to see everybody that's here live, and my business partner and my co-host, Matt Maddox, who's joining us from Tampa, Florida. Good to see you. Well, I saw you a minute ago, but it's good to have him on the show. He'll be right back. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And today is a Wednesday, so we will be talking about family and relationships and all of the things that center around that, which is so important to your everyday life. And good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
I am well, my friend. We had last 2 days were rainy, but the next 6 days will be sunny. So I'm excited about that, man.
Excellent.
I do better with sunshine, man. It's my vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Which is probably one of the reasons you live in Florida, which is a good thing.
The reason.
So awesome. Hey, we've got some questions that have rolled in, and we're going to get to those in just a second. I want to remind everybody that's watching live, interact in the chat box over on that side, or maybe down below on your phone, depending on your device exactly. But by all means, ask questions, interact. Let us know your comments, thoughts, and feedback. And if you're watching later on the archive or listening on iTunes, send us in your questions, or just send us in your feedback. Let us know what you think of the show, what you like, what you don't like. You can send us an email. Email me, mike@mathematics.com, or you can send a text at 727-341-5599. So, hey, let's jump right into it. We've got just 10 minutes left to go. So let me ask you this, and probably as I'm rambling along here at the beginning, you're like, come on, Mike, get to the point. And sometimes when people especially, are rambling and carrying on, they get on your nerves, right? But we want to help people. How can people avoid getting on other people's nerves?
Well, okay, I have two answers to this. Number one, you can't. You can't really avoid it if you're being your authentic self. Because no matter what, your personality or your energy or your outlook, positive people get on people's nerves.
Sure.
Very focused people get on people's nerves. People that are friendly get on people's nerves. So, but having said that you can't control, okay? You can't control when you're interacting with people that there's just no connection. And when there's no connection and no chemistry, and there's different energy and there's different attitude and there's different drives, getting on each other's nerves is inevitable. Right? The part that we all want to avoid is the blind spots within our personality that actually does get on people's nerves. That is controllable. That is avoidable. So what can you do? I'll give you three quick things. Number one, probably the number one thing that people do that gets on other people's nerves is talking about themselves, and really just dominating a conversation by just talking, being selfish, being arrogant. What else can we do to avoid is you know what, Mike? Most people don't go deep. I'm not afraid to ask those that are closest to me, hey, share with me some things that I do that you think get on your nerves or that you've seen get on other people's nerves. I'm seriously not afraid of evaluation. And I think healthy people here mentally should do that. They should consistently, not like every day, but regularly check in with their spouses. Hey, honey, don't be afraid to tell me. I'm not going to be hurt. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to ignore you. What are some things that you think that I potentially do that could get on people's nerves? You better be ready for the answer because it would probably shock you.
Right.
But I'm aware that sometimes I might get on people's nerves. I mean, I ask a lot of questions. And sometimes because of my curious mind and my straight up interest in others, that can become borderline annoying to some people. Like, dude, I've actually had girls that I've been on dates with that were like, man, I feel like I'm on a job interview. And I had to pull back because, I didn't mean it. It's so my natural, authentic self to be curious and to ask questions. So I would just say, Mike, don't be afraid of evaluation. Don't talk too much. Don't be arrogant. Don't be selfish. Don't be rude. Don't be inconsiderate.
Good. That was actually going to be my follow-up question is, do you get on people's nerves? But I think we all do. And because one person's nerves is different than another person's. Hey, want to jump quick to Tommy's question here because it's a great question. What do you do when someone admits a personality flaw but won't do anything about fixing it? And this is a weird situation if somebody will like acknowledge it, but I'm sure you've heard it like, well, that's just the way I am, right?
Mike,
what can we do to help?
I give so little of my energy to people that don't want to change. Case in point, I tell people in the church world all the time, I don't want to use the word waste. Don't invest a lot of your energy on people that are not ready. You can't help, Tommy, people that are that arrogant or that full of themselves or whatever it is that they totally admit it, but they won't do anything about it. Other than just telling them even a straighter truth of like, hey, what's up with this? Or trying to get them a life coach here. I don't know. I mean, whatever strategy, I just don't know there's much you can do for anybody. That's like one of the number one questions that I ask people when they join My Health 90 is, are you ready to do whatever it takes? And that answer determines whether or not, and there's people that had their card out ready to pay that I said, look, I just don't feel you're ready for this yet. And that's where you've got to like be willing to like, no, hey, some people just aren't ready,
Yeah.
or they're not willing. And really at that point, Tommy, you just got to breathe and do yoga, my friend, and keep your stress low because those people will get on your nerves and drive you crazy. It's nothing that makes me more frustrated than people that recognize they need to change but refuse to change. But then you got to go deep and find out why they refuse to change. Is it because they're afraid of change? Is it because they don't know how? Is it because they're putting up a wall like they got their life in control? I mean, Mike, we got to go deep with people to fix them. You can't fix people with one conversation.
Sure.
Sometimes you got to go deep into one question, and that's why. Why don't you want to change? Why aren't you taking action? Tell me why. And then ask it like 25 times. Not really, but go there.
Yeah. Well, and I think, looking at the why and even going back to when you ask people about what maybe you could do that gets on their nerves, remember to observe and to watch and listen and pay attention to like body language, pay attention to the way they answer the questions, pay attention to the way that they present themselves because there's clues in all of that. And I love to solve problems and puzzles. So to me, I love to try to unlock those mysteries. And so I wouldn't say make a game out of it, but make a point of trying to understand exactly what they're saying, because a lot of times what they're saying with their mouth isn't really what they're saying. And so pay attention to all of those things at once. And Lance is advocating that we smack those people.
I've thought about it a few times, Lance, but I'm nonviolent, so I smack in other ways.
We almost never condone physical violence here on Fuel for Success. Almost never.
Almost.
There are always exceptions. Hey, good stuff there, and thanks for the question.
Flick, Lance, a flick. That's how I disciplined my son not to touch stuff when he was little. Is I would flick his hand if he went to go touch the ornaments on the Christmas tree. Bam. He went to go touch the plugs. Bam. And so it taught him, like, don't touch this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Anyways,
Hey, one of the things that you mentioned as you were answering the first question about not getting on people's nerves is, sometimes just being yourself, there's going to be personality conflicts, and you're going to rub people the wrong way and get on people's nerves. And sometimes that happens. Actually, as you were saying that, I thought of a situation where before I was married, my wife met one of my high school buddies, and they like instantly hated each other. I mean, like before they even conversed. And I'm like, I was a little shocked. I'm like, do you guys know each other? They're like, no, never met before. And I'm like, what? There was so much negative chemistry. Sometimes people just, get on each other's nerves. But how do we, but I think it's important to really be ourselves around other people. How do we have that confidence to be ourselves around other people?
Mike, I would venture to say probably 80% of the people living on this earth have never cut the leash to be their authentic self, to really be who they are. We live up to everybody else's expectations and everybody else's standards and what other people think we should be way too much. Most people, it's sad to me because I used to be this way. I am in my authentic self. I am who I am. I really am. I'm real. I'm open. I'm honest. I'm genuine. How do you get that confidence is you've got to break people pleasing. You've got to get past the need to please everybody. You've got to get past the need for everyone to like you.
Yeah.
You've got to recognize that, okay, how do you get more confidence to do it? You've got to recognize that in the long run, people will respect you when you are yourself, when you become your authentic self, when you allow yourself the permission to be who you are, not who your dad thinks you should be, not who your friend thinks you should be, not who your spouse thinks you should be, but really come into like who you really are, the real you. And that's it for today, my friends. Mike and I will be back tomorrow at 9:30 EST. That means Eastern Standard Time, my friends. We're going to be talking about business and entrepreneurship. We do have all 277 of our episodes on archive. You can download them on iTunes. We probably have about 60 talk shows about relationships, from marriage to surviving an affair to dating to conflict to communication. So all you got to do is go back into iTunes, download those podcasts. You can always go to our website. It's actually easier probably because they're all categorized. And go to fuelforsuccess.tv and you can watch them there. Stay connected with us. Mike, good show today, man. Good hanging out with you. Over the next 15 seconds, can you give us a recap, my friend?
Sure thing. Be your authentic self, even though it may get on people's nerves, and look for clues about how you may get on people's nerves to try and avoid that. But at the end of the day, there is sometimes that you can't really help it. And what was the one Tommy asked? I just totally lost it. It was a great question, too. Oh, yeah. You can't change anyone. You can't force anyone to change, and that's one of the most frustrating things. And just be comfortable with yourself.
Let go of that frustration, because just admit the reality that you can't change everybody. And some people, until someone is willing to change, let go of all your frustration, because until they're willing, they're not going to change. They're not.
Good.
Good. We'll see you guys tomorrow, my friends. Enjoy your day.
Have a great Wednesday.